Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope you are having a very good time with your newfound friends and maybe some old colleagues. My name is Shantanu and I am part of the Brahma Kumaris delegation, so I am here to welcome you all. Do you feel welcomed enough? No? Then please clap for each other and you'll feel very welcome. This side, not so much of clapping, so they are not feeling welcomed enough. Can you clap more? Clap! Yes. Thank you so much. So, today in this space, we are people from different backgrounds, different faith, different affiliations, I would say. So, my request would be to get to know each other while you are eating. I would put 3 questions for you to share on those 3 questions to each other. Okay? The first question is, don't miss the question, it's very important.
Добрый вечер. И все, кто меня сейчас понимают, и кому нужен будет перевод. Сейчас будет идти перевод с английского языка на русский. У вас на столах лежат переводные устройства. Пожалуйста, найдите на этих переводных устройствах маленькую красную кнопочку. Нажмите на нее, и ваше устройство будет работать, и вы будете получать перевод на русский язык. Я сижу вот здесь. Если будут какие-то вопросы, то, пожалуйста, обращайтесь. Спасибо.
Спасибо. So everything I said was translated in Russian. So the first question is, before Sasha starts translating, and you have to share this answer with your team. When was the first time when you fall in love with nature? Okay? Sorry? When was the first time, maybe go down into your memory lane, when you felt like you fell in love with nature? And then the other questions I'll come back. So, how many of you have finished the reply or the sharing with the first question? Can you raise your hands? Oh, very good. And how do you feel? Nice, isn't it? To know how someone else's love story started with nature. So my second question is, no, it's an easy one, don't worry. It's a very easy question. Share one insight or realization that you had recently. It could be from today, from yesterday, from the past week, from last month, just anything that is recent according to you. One realization or insight that you have had recently. Yeah? So,
I will welcome you everyone first, and then I will introduce you and you do the song, okay? Good evening. Ooh, what the mic. Is this, can you make it more bass or something? All right, good evening everybody, and a warm welcome to our friends and colleagues. And I'm Sonia from the Brahma Kumaris Environment Initiative, and I'm here on behalf of our whole COP delegation. From Brahma Kumaris, here we are 13 members in the group, and 6 of them are under 40, and we're very happy for a big youth group. Yes! And one of our favorite events in COP is this evening when we have a reception where we can just relax, chill out, be together and share experiences. So most welcome. And here tonight we also have a big group from Baku, which is just wonderful. Special welcome to you. Yes. And most of you would know Brahma Kumaris, but we are an international meditation school, a spiritual organization with origins in India, started back in the 1930s. And today we have centers around 120 countries and affiliated to the UN in many ways. And the head of the organization is here with us tonight. And Sister Jayanti, you will meet her in the panel later. And our environment initiative started in 2009 in Copenhagen. And our umbrella initiative theme is consciousness and climate change, where we talk about mindset, lifestyle, plant-based diet, renewable energy, food and agriculture sector, so we have many topics. But we are experts, we would say, in lifestyle and changing habits and mindset change with the help of meditation. So for tonight, first of all, a big thank you to the kitchen team who has cooked for days for you tonight. So if Victor, Veronica, Olga, if you can stand up. Hello. Here's Victor, Veronica, Olga. Yes. And soon I will hand over the mic to the moderator of tonight, Carolin Fraude from Berlin. She's the board member in Brahma Kumaris Berlin and also associated scholar with RIFS, Research Institute from Potsdam. Before we start the panel discussion, we will have a song. We have a scientist on the guitar tonight. It's lovely, isn't it, when you change sector? So this is Mark Lawrence from RIFS, Potsdam, scientific director, and he will play the guitar. And this is Nuray, here from Baku. She was part of the youth delegation, and they are going to sing the song that was sang at the launch of the Nobel Peace Prize. Something like that. Something like that. It's got connected to Nobel Peace Prize. So they will sing, and then we start our panel discussion for half an hour, and after that half an hour, the buffet will reopen, and we will have some dialogue exercises and continue to have a nice time together. So welcome to our song, and then to Carolin. Thank you.
I was listening to the ocean. I saw a face in the sand, but when I picked it up, then it vanished away from my hands down. I had a dream I was 7, climbing my way in a tree. I saw peace, so I went, waiting impatient for me down. And I was running far away, will die on of the world someday. Nobody knows, nobody knows. And I was dancing in the rain, I felt alive and I can't complain. Now take me home where I belong. I can't take it anymore. I was painting a picture. The picture was a painting of you, and for a moment I thought you were here, but then again it wasn't true. Down. And all of this time I have been lying, oh, lying in secret to myself. Sirens putting sun on a far space on my shelf. And I was running far away, will die on of the world someday. Nobody knows, nobody knows. And I was dancing in the rain, I felt alive and I can't complain. No, take me home where I belong. I got no other place to go. No, take me home where I belong. I got no other place to go. No, take me home where I belong. I can't take it anymore. But I kept running for a soft place to fall. And I kept running for a soft place to fall. And I kept running for a soft place to fall. And I kept running for a soft place to fall. And I was running far away, will die on of the world someday. Nobody knows, nobody knows, nobody knows. And I was dancing in the rain, I felt alive and I can't complain. But no, take me home where I belong. No, take me home where I belong. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore.
Thank you so much for this heart-touching song. I have to say, I asked Mark, the guitarist, just I think two days ago, because I know he can play just like that. Could you support our wonderful singer? And he said, yes, just give me the lyrics and I will do it. And literally, I think an hour ago, both of them met and they played together. So thank you very much. And what can we have nicer to create an atmosphere for an evening like this with someone from here locally, a young girl, and from Europe, from Germany, and actually America, USA. Okay, so my name is Carolin. As Sonja already introduced me, I would like to just go directly into our panel conversation and welcome Sister Jayanti on stage and Massamba Thioye and who else? Wasim?
Please take a seat. So thank you, everyone. We now have about 25 minutes for a conversation here, and we like you to, during these 25 minutes, not to go to the buffet, just stay where you sit, so that we can create a bit of a more concentrated atmosphere. And this year, the menu card is my schedule, and it's fitting to a restaurant, our menu tonight. So those who have come from the climate change conference and those who are from here, from Baku, are together in this room. And we always feel it's so good to get one evening out of the COP, which is so demanding, with its own interesting atmosphere and stress, and just meet in a place where we can meet each other beyond borders and politics, which is the topic of our evening today. Strengthening the relational fabric for real climate solutions. Actually, this topic says already quite a bit. We are here to get to know each other, to strengthen our relationships, to understand where we are coming from, our needs, our worldviews, and what we can do together. So, not to say much more, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Massamba. He has invented the UNFCCC Global Innovation Hub, which is a very recent part of the big United Nations Climate Change Convention. And Massamba, I have listened to you a couple of times online and also here at the COP. And you are pointing out that it's necessary to actually change the starting point of where we come from when we think of solutions, when we work together on climate solutions, to get real solutions. And you point out that purpose and universal values are key. Could you please explain what is this fundamental shift about, and how do climate solutions look different when considering purpose and universal values? Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation. Good evening to all of you. Very pleased to have this opportunity to interact with you. Good evening, sister, and very pleased to be with you in this panel. The reality is that the crisis that we are facing, climate change as well as other environmental crises, is a spirituality crisis. Very often we are saying that the problem is a leadership problem, but behind this leadership problem, there is a spirituality crisis. And it can only be addressed if we start from the starting point, meaning doing something to develop internally. When we are acting to change, outer action for system change are reflecting our state of inner development. Because our action reflect our state of inner development as well as the interaction framework in which we are, it will be difficult to undertake outer action for real change if nothing is done to change internally. I would like just to point out 3 aspects that are related to the core value of the UN Climate Change Global Innovation Hub. They are articulated around caring, sharing, and daring. So these are the 3 core values of the Global Innovation Hub, because we realize that if we want climate and sustainability action to be effective, we need to have our climate actor taking ownership of these 3 core values. Caring is very important because this is what will facilitate empathy and perspective taking. And unless we have this empathy and perspective taking, we will not be able to understand what are the needs of the people and what are the needs of the planet. Our core, our vision is to provide flourishing life to the many people. That's also a very important aspect, because most of the time when we are talking about climate and sustainability action, we tend to consider pure decarbonization. Like if climate action, climate and sustainability action are just about decarbonizing the economy, decarbonizing the sector. Our view is slightly different. We consider that the focus should be contributing in providing flourishing life to the many people, but doing it in a way that is aligned with the climate and sustainability goal. So the focus is flourishing life to the many people, nobody being left behind, but we have to do it in a way that align with the climate and sustainability goal. And this is why very quickly we come to the conclusion that caring, sharing, and daring are central. So sharing is important. We need to learn to give generously. We need also to learn to receive graciously and to be able to collaborate genuinely. And finally, daring is important because we need to think big. We need to have the audacity to think big, but also we need to be enough tenacious. We need to have the tenacity to persevere in face of challenge. And finally, we need to be enough resilient to bounce back in the face of failure, because the challenge is a very big challenge. We will face failure, but we should learn from our failure and be able to bounce back. So I will stop there and then, if needed, be later on further elaborate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Massamba, for these very deep and, I would say, today unusual remarks in political contexts. Thank you so much for your courage to think big and to think differently. I would like to invite Sister Jayanti. Sister Jayanti is the additional administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris and the regional coordinator for Europe and the Middle East. Sister Jayanti, you as a spiritual leader have supported many leaders worldwide and and one of which is Christiane Figueres, who was the heading up the UNFCCC, the Climate Change Conference, in a very critical moment when before the Paris Agreement, and she was interested in meditation. Sister Jayanti, what is it that you tell leaders to stay strong? Please share some concepts and also practices which can be useful for all of us to deepen our approach to what we do.
Om Shanti, a greeting of peace to my sisters and my brothers. And I know that it's not easy to take on an evening event after a long day at work, whether at COP or here in Baku, in your other places of work. So thank you all for coming here tonight. And I greatly appreciated your comments, because I haven't heard many leaders of the UN who have been able to have the courage to say the things that you've just shared. But yes, I believe that climate crisis is just one aspect, a very major one, no doubt, but actually just one aspect of a deeper crisis, which is a spiritual crisis. And connected with a spiritual crisis, of course, then is a subject of values and ethics. Look around the world and see what's going on, and you ask yourself the question, how is it possible that things are happening the way they are? I don't need to mention names, but just look around. And it's as if really the world has gone a little bit upside down, a little bit crazy. And so the subject of climate crisis and thinking about what is it that spirituality can offer? Maybe the most important thing is that when I learn about the inner being, the being that I am, rather than the role that I play, or even the responsibility that I hold, when I truly go deep within myself, I discover that there's a core of peace at the very heart of the being. And I think every human being, but especially leaders trying to navigate their way in this very crazy, turbulent time, it's absolutely vital. When I connect with that silent space inside, a space which is sacred, a space which is peaceful, I'm able to hold my head up high with dignity, because then I'm in touch with my own core values. And I think that for leaders today, it's so important to be aware that if they are able to have the courage to uphold the inner values of peace, of truth, of love, of compassion, they can show us the way to a better world. But maybe each one of us here is a leader, and we need to lead the way. But it's only possible when I'm in touch with that core within myself, because that inner stability of peace opens the door to all the other core values that are so important at all times in human civilization, but especially at a time today when we've moved very, very far away from these principles. And so I think that spending just a few moments in reflection, spending a few minutes, just connecting with the self is so valuable. There's a very interesting interview with Katrín Jakobsdóttir, who was the former Prime Minister of Iceland, and when she was still in that capacity. It's on the website called Spirit of Humanity. And in that she's spoken about the need for leaders to be able to go on that inner journey and come to that experience of that peace within. again, it was very daring of her to do this interview and share that with public. But there are people who are now beginning to see that there has to be a different way. Was it Einstein who said many decades ago that you can't solve the problems with the same mindset that you created them? And so solutions have to come from a different dimension. And whether that dimension is up above or whether that dimension is deep down within, but to get to that space where I'm in touch with myself. And I also want to touch on this aspect of going beyond borders. Not a subject that people want to touch on today, when we're struggling with borders in so many different ways. But many, many years ago, we had a program that ran into 128 countries. And it asked the question, what is your vision of a better world? But I won't go into the detail of that now. But one person from Africa wrote a vision that I've never forgotten. And what he said was that he saw a world of justice and equality. And what gave him that vision was the reality that the color of our skins may be different, but the color of our sweat, our blood, and tears is the same. And when you hear children laughing, does that give a culture or color or language? Equally, when you hear children crying, can you put a label on that? And so the human gene is human, wherever it may be. And so coming to the essence of the being that I am means that I'm able to overcome borders and boundaries and come to a different space. I really feel very deeply that the crisis we are facing, it's not possible for one country or one organization to resolve it by themselves. It has to be a collaboration in which each one shares the highest of themselves, and together we can definitely create a better world. I hope you carry away a vision of a better world tonight, because I don't even see it as a message of hope. I see it as a reality. When there's darkness, the child doesn't know what's going to happen and is afraid. But the mature person knows that after the night, the day has to come. And I believe we're at that threshold point. People are waking up, people are becoming aware, and are searching for higher truth, one under which we can all unite together. And so I believe that we are not too far away from the day, but we have to be the ones who actually live by those values that we would like to see happen in the world. So I hope that that gives an insight into my vision. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sister Jayanti, and I personally feel let's have a few seconds of silence to let that sink in. Thank you all. It's my pleasure to now introduce to you Wasim Dbouk. Wasim is a Marine and Maritime Policy Research Fellow at the Southampton Marine and Maritime Institute in the UK. And he's also a UNFCCC negotiator for the Lebanese Ministry of Environment, and a representative of the Youth Negotiation Academy. And I would like to mention Loea Rita, who is here, who is one of the people caring for these young negotiators in a very fantastic way. One of these initiatives of hope. Thank you. Wasim, please share with us your personal experience as a negotiator and how your contemplative practice helps you to stay true to your values. What are your personal reflections on how spirituality and the inner dimension has helped you building resilience during this COP as a young negotiator? How would you help address also structural problems within the negotiation process?
Thank you very much. I must start by saying I'm feeling really honored to be amongst everyone here. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for inviting me to be amongst this wonderful panel. It's really difficult to come in after such brilliant interventions as well, I must say. So, as you said, I work at the University of Southampton. The universities are a place of innovation and knowledge. And came very close. I work with academics who are brilliant, who produce all the solutions that we need to solve this problem that we're facing, this existential crisis that we're facing. And yet, we're struggling with taking the right decisions and adopting long-term action in the face of what we're facing. So I started wondering about that initially, and what I came to was exactly what was shared before, that what we're facing here is a crisis of lack of empathy and lack of compassion and disconnection, I would say. So I am personally somebody who adopts spiritual practices. I'm a meditative person, and that's what gives me the strength and the desire to begin with, to be on this journey. But I also wanted to bring others along, so I started wondering about this topic, basically. So I think, thanks to people like Luea, but others as well, I think developing inner qualities in the middle of this crisis that we're facing is really, really fundamental, not only for us to have the resilience to face this challenge of this size, but also to break patterns. I think, especially as young negotiators, we've inherited a system that's really dysfunctional, and we didn't have a say in shaping it in any way or form. And as Sister said earlier, there's a lot of things that are going wrong in the world, and this is just one of them. And I think all of them come from this source of disconnection and us being stuck in our own separate identities. So I think that I think what we need to see, and this is something that has been really confirmed to me in my experience. This is my first time negotiating on behalf of Lebanon. What we really need to start to do is to start peeling off some of those layers, some of those patterns. We cannot keep repeating the same mistakes, keep repeating the same patterns and expect different results. So we need to start peeling off some of those patterns that we've inherited. And what I came to realize last week is that the main one that really contradicts specifically with the multilateral process that we're involved in here in the COP is one that roots us in our respective nationalities and patriotic thinking generally. I think that's something that keeps people too stuck in their own positions. So what I've experienced last week and coming into this week as well is individuals representing their countries, sometimes coming from other countries, being too stuck in their own identifications and being too stuck with their collective identifications as well. So that creates too much friction in the room and too little empathy, too little capacity to listen to the other view. And I think for me it becomes very clear, you'll hear even words coming out of people's mouths that are very divisive, like the way that they express their disagreement and the way that you just, by taking a step back and looking at it, you realize how little they actually listen to each other. Everybody's red lines, some parties, some blocks' red lines are other blocks' priorities and vice versa, and nobody's willing to come closer to the other. So we're not seeing any of the red lines turning pink. That's how I'm seeing it. And this is exactly what we need to see. And to me, as somebody who's been motivated by this unity within all of us through connecting with myself and moving away from the alienation of the other, and through that the alienation of nature as well, dictates every aspect of our lives. It was a little bit difficult for me to experience that in a negotiation room. And I had to rely on allies, like Luea, for example. I had to rely on people who I know understand the situation to help me build that resilience, to help me go through the negotiation process in itself. But also, I think, what I came to realize as well is that we need to help others, especially those who are established in their careers, who have been involved in negotiations for decades. We need to equip them with the right tools to step out of those patterns. So we need to develop tools that are accessible to them, and crossing the borders at every degree, whether it's nationality, but also disciplines and backgrounds, and so on. And I started putting more and more effort into that, basically. So, for example, as I mentioned to you before, Carolin, working at the university, I started investing into creating outputs in tools to help connect change agents, coaches, climate coaches and change agents and researchers with the policymakers, with those who make the decisions around the climate crisis at every level, whether it's local, national, and international. And I came to know other people as well who are really brilliant, who do these, who are involved in initiatives from a psychology perspective, and they're involved in really evidence-based research that emphasizes the role of the inner dimension in both mitigation and adaptation. And I saw clearly that we need to be joining forces in amplifying each other's voices and helping each other create a ripple effect in this system that we're involved in. So I have a lot of thoughts that are being shaped in my mind around how the current structure can change. It's going to take time. For sure, it's going to take time. But we need to start somewhere, and we need to change the existent patterns of the mindsets that are driving all of our actions. I think I'll leave it here for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wasim. We have been gathering here tonight also for talking with each other, because everyone who is here is an expert in its own field. And we will have conversations also in which we can co-think on the basis of what we have heard, further what we could bring to this big transformation, in which we are in the middle of it. I have the feeling what you have been sharing has been so rich and so powerful already that I would actually like to go into the conversations. But I also would like to check in with you if you have a comment on each other, which you would like to add to what you have been saying already. And then would invite everyone to start the roundtable conversations. And yeah, I will come to that later. Well, first, Massamba, is there anything you would like to add or comment on what the other two speakers have been saying?
So I would like to re-emphasize that inner development is needed if you want to have outer action for system change. Now the challenge I see, and maybe this could be one of the elements for discussion because this is really something that is of interest for me. How can we promote inner development at scale? How would it be possible to have this happening at large scale, because this is one of the conditions for outer action at scale and system change. I know that there are two elements that are really important if you want system change. One is the interaction environment, the interaction framework in which we are. And there, love is critical, caring is critical, respect is critical. Through my experience, I have seen people changing completely simply because they were in an environment where they were receiving a lot of love, a lot of caring, and a lot of respect. Another leverage point that in my view is very important at the individual level, this is what we are doing. Deeply meaningful action, engagement, and deeply purposeful action can also have a huge impact in terms of inner development. So it means that if you are able to create space where a large number of people are given opportunity to do things that are meaningful, things that are purposeful, maybe this is one way of creating at scale this inner development that could impact a large number of people. So there.
Thank you very much for these questions. I think we can, by the way, there is paper and a pen on your tables, and feel free to already make notes and start taking from these rich inputs here. Sister Jayanti, would you like to add something?
I think in order to be able to change the inner mindset, firstly, yes, you need to have a different view of yourself and see yourself as that spiritual being rather than the physical being that one sees with the two physical eyes. But it's actually the inner being that has greater value. Our thinking, our feelings, our conscience, our personality, all of that is there within the inner being and not in the brain or in the physical form. And so being in touch with that opens up a whole dimension of learning, and why there's very little listening, and I agree completely that rather than listen, we're already planning what we are going to say next, and we are stuck in our own particular mode. But when there's an inner awareness, there's an openness to learning, and with that comes a lot of humility and appreciation of how much we can take from others in terms of their experience and expertise. And so I think that changing the vision I have of myself is very important. And secondly, one of the reasons why there's such insecurity in the world, and it applies on a personal level, it applies on a national level, and we see the conflicts internationally, that inner insecurity comes from a lack of being able to follow my own inner core values. Whether somebody sees me or doesn't see me, that's not the issue. My own conscience, to some extent or another, is alive. And so when I see that my core value is something else and my behavior is something else, I know the difference. And because of this, I'm not able to trust myself. And that lack of inner trust and insecurity generates the insecurity and the lack of trust in terms of our relationships. So there's a journey to be undertaken going within.
Thank you very much. I see already faces thinking deeply. At least I'm inspired. Wasim?
I think that was brilliant. I want to come back on that last point of insecurity, because I also see that a major barrier towards compassion, towards that journey that we're describing here is fear. And that fear that's being planted in our minds since a very early age. You know, you need to be protective of your own self, your vision of yourself, your perception of yourself on an individual level, and then you magnify it as you see it more on a family level, and then your community, and then your people in your city, your country, your continent, and there's always some sort of division there. And I wanna touch upon here on the point of the conditioning of the mind there's a lot of investment in, unfortunately, and particularly I want to touch upon the role of social media and what we're seeing. I think a lot of what, especially now we're talking, I mean, it's a different world than it was 40 years ago or 50 years ago, and I think a lot of people are exposed to divisive narratives, and it's very difficult to stay aware of the implications or the effects of what we're exposed to on our souls and the fear that it creates in us. You're always acting unconsciously on the basis of that fear in a protective manner, looking after your own interest in one way or the other, and that just creates such a big barrier towards seeing the common interest that you have with others, and the barrier to healing as well. I think what we need for us to move in the right direction, towards compassion, is healing. I think peace at every level, whether we're talking about conflicts or we're talking about our conflict with nature, starts with healing. And yeah, I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Once again, to all of you three, thank you so much for these very deep and personal thoughts. I would like to ask Charlie to stand up and all the young negotiators who are in the room, because you are volunteering with the conversations at the tables, and also the volunteers of the Brahma Kumaris who help with facilitation and note-taking. If one young negotiator and one of the Brahma Kumaris could go to one table together and help with the conversations at the tables, we will shift around another time. So you already see who the young negotiators are, and you will get to know who the Brahma Kumaris volunteers are. And I'm reading out now 3 questions and explain the process. So at your tables there are some dialogue guidelines. And these dialogue guidelines, I would invite you to start reading them out at your tables. Not right now, the moment when I stop talking, to explain a little bit about the way we would like to inspire you to talk to each other. And one of the guidelines is to really slow down and listen. Because as already it was said here, I think by Sister Jayanti, something with this microphone, I change it. So, is that when someone talks, we often have already our own interpretations and our own categories going on. But to really listen openly from our heart means also to give the other a chance to really understand him more fully, rather than interpreting and maybe labeling something, and to understand too quickly. So this is one of the very important rules, but there's also the learner attitude. We all know so much. We don't need too much more knowledge, but we know so much. But to really get into an experience of newness and an aha, out of the box thinking, is an attitude. It requires an attitude. There is something tonight which wants to come to you, which an insight wants to come to you, a new vision, a new perspective. To please be open to that and allow it to come to you. Speaking from the heart, I think I already mentioned. So just start by reading out these guidelines. And now I will ask 3 questions, and you may want to write them down on the sheet. So the first question, very simple, from what has been shared by our 3 panelists, what stood out for you, what spoke to you most? Did you have any realization from that? And you can take as much time as you like in your group to deepen that before you go to the second question. The second question is, what is your vision on how we as global actors and delegates at the UNFCCC can support this fundamental shift to a more value and purpose-driven, compassionate and collaborative global community? What's your vision? And then lastly, how could you personally contribute to this shift? Thank you. You have 18 minutes in the constellation you are. The note taker will help writing down some key messages or key insights from your table. And then we will hear from you briefly and have another roundtable slot. Thank you very much and enjoy the conversation.
just to repeat, please, the young negotiators find a table so that you can be support for one table. Thank you. So I'm seeing that there is a lot of lively conversations going on. And at the same time, I've been going to some of the tables, listening to you. And some said, yeah, we are still with the first questions. Others said, we are ready to go. I'm also aware that our time is a bit advanced and we started late. So I would like to just hear from every table a little bit. And then we have our closing round with our panelists. So since I'm just standing here, who would like from you to share some insights from your conversation?
Okay, so this table is a very interesting table. We had a lot of thought-provoking conversations. So for the first question, which is what stood out for you, we had let's talk more, make it more explicit, and not individually, but collectively. So that was one point of view. The other one, what stood out was the importance of shifting mindset to come up with new mindsets and the need for more spiritual movements for persons to utilize when combating climate change. For the what is your vision, we have some great visions, so we hope that other tables are taking note. We have humanizing the discussions, so content as well as research that is happening. So instead of just having a neutral report saying, okay, this happened, that happened, make it more humanized, where persons can actually understand the impacts of what happened. So anyone who is reading the document can feel the humanized aspects of that. We also had simplicity. Since we are the ones creating the documents, we are the ones creating what we're doing, instead of making it so technical, we can just make it simple. Breaking down the silos. So a vision where silos are broken down. So at COP, instead of business people speaking to business people and gender people to gender people, a COP where the silos are broken down to a way where everyone is open and everyone can communicate with each other. We also have empathy as a big one. Being more empathetic in negotiations and not making it a gender thing where men are supposed to be strong and not empathetic, where everyone shows emotion, so back to the humanized aspects, so negotiations can flow better. Closeness to nature, so a venue where you can touch a plant or you can see something that since we're fighting for nature and we're fighting for our environment, we have a vision where we can be close to nature and we have more peaceful, not only fighting for our country's perspective, but for our planet conservation. So when you're seeing the plants and you're in a place where you have oneness with nature, then it will make it easier for you to connect. We also had a point where we're supposed to be making decisions for humanity, but our mindset is kind of not where it's supposed to be because we haven't properly eaten, we haven't slept well, and some people are leading 24 negotiations in a day. So how do we make proper decisions for humanity without empathy? So we need a vision where empathy is involved. We have slept, we can make proper decisions for humanity. And for what can we do personally, we have what can we do personally, a moral or ethical awakening, bring ourselves into COP. So not just leave who we are behind, and at COP we are different people. Somebody said, keep on doing what I am doing and just get more people involved, and that is positivity, which is the emotional aikido. Positivity, and we have 2 recommendations, which is 1, connecting with nature during COP for the 2 weeks, and this conversation should not take place out of COP, but also in the venue.
What's your name? Thank you, Kizei. So I hope you all could hear what has been shared, and I know some of you like to go and leave because it's late. I just want to check in with the table here, what the outcome or some key points from your table. Just 2, 3 are enough.
Yeah. So it was also a very interesting table with people with a lot of experience. Just 2 points that we can share is on the first question, something that really stood out of the discussions. It was about changing the mindset. And the second point is also thank you. And the second point was also to get in touch with the reality, because sometimes the negotiators are not really in touch with the reality. It was about also living in the nature, not only standing in a big venue.
I cannot really hear you.
Okay.
Excuse me, could you please be a bit less loud or stop talking? And could you speak more understandable?
Okay, so it's okay? Okay. So the 2 points I shared just a few minutes ago, it was about changing mindset. That's all. Okay. Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, I go to you.
Yes. So this table, we started by stating that one of the takeaways was the listening to each other and not starting to formulate what you think yourself before the other person had stopped speaking. And I think everyone agreed, because we listened so carefully to each other that we just got to the first question. So what we took away, I think that our core values could be also connected to protecting nature, which is something that we're all engaged in. I think one of the topics that we discussed was around nationalities, that every nation is thinking about itself and we're not seeing the whole picture, which is also challenging in many ways, but humanity is one. And but there's a lot of challenges with the number of people that we are now, and we have to deal with that. Biodiversity, how spiritual that is for many cultures today, and that is something we need to connect to. Young people, that they are the hope, and they also bring new types of ways of thinking and new values, which is extremely important. And I think we also discussed a lot on the statement that the climate crisis is a spiritual crisis, and that we believe that is true in many ways, that we're disconnected both from our inner values but also to the planet as a whole, as a living being, and as humanity as a whole. Someone wants to add? I don't know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you all for those who have been part of this. And there is another table I see who would like to share. I'm coming through you. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hello everyone, my name is Cindy and I'm from Vanuatu in the South Pacific Ocean. Okay, our table has a very good discussion based on the first question, what stood out for you and what spoke for you most? We ladies here, we think that the speakers, what stood out for us most is we'll go with Sister Jayanti. There's this code, there's this message where she said our colors of hair and our skin are different, but we have the same blood, the same sweat, and the same tears. So that's the answer to the first question. And the second one is, how can UNFCCC actors push for more value-driven worlds? We had a discussion and we've given valuable ideas, and what we wanted to share is we think UNFCCC should push that right from childhood through education, educating young people, and also for social medias to show more good side on environment and climate change and to share the message. Yeah, and education. I'll talk. If my other colleagues would like to add on, then they'll add on. And yeah, our next answer to the last question is what we think that will contribute. What's this?
How can you personally contribute to this shift? So we think that countries getting together, knowing each other culture, it will be more easier to contribute to that climate change impacts. I think that's all. If my colleagues will add, I will give it to her.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ajaratu. I'm from Mali. So we have an interesting conversation, especially we talk about education. We said we need to have an open mind for young generation. We need to know each other culture and know what is happening. We also have an example like our program, Youth Negotiator Academic. We started since June. We don't know each other. We had a training online and we had the opportunity to meet each other for 3 days training. So now we are becoming a family. So what we are trying to say, we just have to be one in this world, like, so that we can have a peaceful life in the world. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I would like to come to an end and ask our panelists to give their final remarks to what you have been hearing. I'd like to start with Massamba.
So I think one of the points I would like to highlight that get out of this discussion is the need to reconnect, because there are 3 levels of disconnection. Disconnection with ourselves, as it was mentioned by Sister. And we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect at 3 levels. The first level is we are disconnected with ourselves. So we need to reconnect with ourselves. We are disconnected with the other human. And we need to reconnect and be able to collaborate, work together. And we are disconnected with nature. And we need to reconnect with nature. And there were several points made saying that the UNFCCC negotiation should be undertaken close to nature, so that people can feel what they are discussing and maybe through their connection with nature become also more connected among themselves. I think that's really something that we can use as takeaway.
I actually have heard that the presidency of Brazil has these thoughts. I also know that there are difficulties with capacity of that place because to accommodate so many people. So, but it's an interesting thought. Let's see. So, thank you very much. So then I like to find Wasim. Where are you? Your final closing words?
Thank you so much. Two things, I guess. First of all, we definitely need to see more of the inner dimension brought up in the negotiations, you know, and the outcomes of COPs. I think there needs to be more emphasis on it, on mitigation and adaptation in particular, but also on other aspects of the negotiations. And second point, I think for me is we need to continue to empower vulnerable groups that are particularly vulnerable to climate change, and particularly to empower the youth and raising their voice and shaping a new world for us all and breaking some of the patterns that we've inherited.
Thank you very much. We will now have a moment of silence and meditation with which we close the evening. And Sister Jayanti will speak a meditation commentary and we can have some music, please. Yeah, I will give, but just play some music. Yes, I know. Okay. You speak in silence?
Before the silence, we have some dignitaries from the city of Baku who've taken the time to come and be with us here this evening, and they want to share a few gifts.
Я буду говорить по-русски, чтобы можно было переводить. Прежде всего, я хотел бы от имени делегации Ассоциации культуры Азербайджана «Симург» поблагодарить всех организаторов Диди Ханум за приглашение на столь прекрасное совещание по вопросам культуры, экологии, экологической культуры. Экологическая культура – это часть.
And first of all, I would like, on behalf of the Association of Culture of Azerbaijan, to welcome all the respected participants of this event, and we are very grateful for the invitation to be part of this extremely useful and important discussion of the questions of climate change and morality, spirituality and culture.
Наша ассоциация занимается исследованием проблем мировой культурологии. И мы давно уже сотрудничаем со Всемирным университетом Brahma Kumaris. Я даже имел удовольствие быть в Индии, в Абу-Роуд и Маунт-Абу. И Назля Ханум тоже там была.
The Association of Culture of Azerbaijan has been cooperating since many years with the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University, and I was lucky to visit Mount Abu, the Brahma Kumaris headquarters, to take part in an international conference.
Прежде чем сказать еще несколько слов, я хотел бы от имени Ассоциации культуры Азербайджана вручить международный диплом Ambassador of Culture нашей уважаемой Диди Ханум.
And I'm happy to hand over this diploma of the Ambassador of Culture to our respected Jayanti Didi. It's the diploma of the Ambassador of Culture. Thank you.
Значит, не нужно. Нет, на нашем дипломе изображены ворота высокой культуры. То есть именно человек высокой культуры может войти в это ворота. И мы эти дипломы вручаем именно людям, которые представляют собой парадигму высококультурного человека.
So this diploma, the image that is used here is the gateway. And this is the gateway to a better world of high culture. We believe that only people who have high cultural values can enter a better future world. And we are also happy to hand over to respected Jayanti Didi this international medal of Simurg. Simurg is like a phoenix bird in Western mythology, so we have Simurg bird. It is symbolic of goodness, virtue, and renovation. Thank you.
Вместе с тем, а где это самое его? Вместе с тем я хотел бы вручить госпоже Диди Jayanti небольшой сувенир. Это тарелка Симур, юбилейная тарелка. Давайте положим.
And these are also gifts with the emblem of the association of culture of Azerbaijan. The has been serving.
Предлагаю объединить усилия университетской ассоциации, всех вас, дорогие друзья, участников конференции в содействии формированию и развитию высококультурных людей во всем мире.
It's beautiful when unexpected things happen, and so this is an unexpected part of this evening, but very beautiful. An unexpected part of this evening, but very beautiful. I keep this peace.